Well, Mississippi State came up short for a major portal target, and it could matter moving forward.
You are Locked On Mississippi State, your daily podcast on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome. This is the Locked On Mississippi State podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. I'm Jaron Spor, nearly a decade in journalism and a national college football writer with Athlon Sports, joined by my co-host Landon McBride, a longtime journalist and college sports fanatic. This is your daily home for all things Mississippi State. Today, we're breaking down Jordan Seaton choosing LSU over Mississippi State and what that decision means for the Bulldogs. Then we'll recap the weekend for both the Mississippi State men's and women's basketball teams before wrapping things up with our top dog of the week. And to our everydayers, stick around at the end. We'll talk about how we can make your experience even better. Also, we're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook with daily videos. So make sure to like and subscribe over there as well. Also, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. All right. Well, hopefully everyone is staying safe. I know Landon and I got hit hard by the winter storm, but there's been some places I saw some of the damage out in Oxford. There's been some places that got a lot of it and a lot worse than what we got. Still got, I think, nearly a foot or 8 inches or a foot. That's where I'm at. Landon got a lot more of the sleet and ice, but also got the snow. I mainly just got the snow. But yes, hopefully everyone is staying safe, staying warm. Binge watching some shows. My wife and I've already finished 2 shows. We found some short series and we binged them.
We finished 2 today. I mean, we were running through, and I was staying warm until I went to my little office back here. It is cold.
Yeah, my office is freezing too. It's right by a window, and his and hers, Netflix, very good series, and we watch all Her Fault on Peacock. Both very good series.
All right.
If you're looking for something to binge, But yes, we had some big news happen over the weekend. I mentioned it on Friday. I said it's probably not going to be a great weekend. It really wasn't, because the things that I thought might happen ended up happening, which was Seaton committed to LSU. That was one of them. The other 2 were basketball related, which we'll talk about next segment. But yeah, I mean, Jordan Seaton commits to LSU. Obviously, was a guy that Mississippi State was really high on. They got the first visit, kind of surprisingly. I don't want to sit here and act like I thought Mississippi State was ever the leader. I didn't. I knew that Mississippi State wasn't going to lose this just because of a money thing. They were going to play the money game. But with that being said, there was opportunities at LSU. There was opportunities at Oregon that just were better. And ultimately, that's where he chose to go, was to LSU, which ultimately almost didn't even have the Oregon visit. Oregon, Dan Lanning and co. flew to meet him because he wasn't going to fly out to Oregon. And so at the end of the day, he went to LSU. And if you were ever wondering why Lane Kiffin chose the LSU Tigers over the Ole Miss Rebels, and he might still regret it down the road. He signed 9 of the top 100 prospects in the transfer portal. That right there is why he went to LSU. And I know he's had some great classes. He even had a #1 transfer portal class, and ain't a class like this one.
No, I mean, he's got 3 of the top 5. So according to 24/7. So, I mean, he's really pulling in the guys, and it's not surprising. We talked about it from the beginning. This was a massive uphill battle and kind of one of those I'm just happy to be here moments. I mean, obviously you would have loved to reel him in, but to be included, that's kind of where all you can hope for with Mississippi State, where the state of this program, obviously we think we're trending in the right direction, but we're not there yet. And so just getting kind of in that final 3-4 situation for a guy of this caliber that would have anchored your line, that's a really good place to be in. Obviously you want to land him, but you're not going to land guys like that unless there's some kind of connection to the school right now. You're going to have to get a few more years of results on the field before you are really in the running for guys like Jordan Seaton regularly.
Yeah, and I know the thing that people at home are saying to themselves right now is, you guys keep saying that it's great to be in these battles. I'm sick and tired of being in the battles if I'm not closing the battles. And I get that. It's frustrating. But the thing is, it doesn't change overnight unless you win overnight. Like if you pull something out like what Kirk Cignetti's done,
Right.
Which again, we've dove into that, and it's just not. It's not something that teams do.
Or if you got oil money like Texas Tech.
Yeah, right.
Then
right.
that's
Unless
another
you got
conversation.
something like that, you're not just going to start pulling out these wins. And we made it clear Jordan Seaton was obviously interested in the NIL, but it was bigger than that. He wanted a chance to win a national championship and wanted to win. And that's what Landon and I kept saying was going to be the holdup for Mississippi State. They were going to play the money game, but they weren't going to be able to pitch that the national championship is on its way next year. And again, y'all can have your feelings about that, get upset about that. Cool. I understand it. But at the end of the day, that was the big holdup. That was the thing that I believe that Jordan Seaton, why he ended up going to LSU. And I know when we posted that video of us talking about why he wouldn't choose Mississippi State, we got a lot of flack from people. Oh, he's coming. Someone told me in the comments, or told us in the comments, hey, trust my source. He's coming. He's coming to Mississippi State. Well,
you got a bad source, man.
You got a bad source. But anyways, yeah, he wasn't ever going to come because of the winning factor. And the only way to sell him on that was if Mississippi State would have pulled off that 7-8 wins this year, then maybe you have a chance, because you can at least pitch, hey, in year 2 of the rebuild, we've already got to 7-8 wins. And I'm not saying that's where Mississippi State should have been, because it was a bad rebuild. Y'all know it. Y'all know how bad the roster was. It's just there wasn't enough progress for Seaton to take that leap of faith yet.
No, there wasn't. And, you could also see that was kind of the feeling in the building with how many tackles and offensive linemen they signed in the portal. I mean, is it 7 or 8 guys coming over in the portal? So, I mean, that's a whole line and a half. And you hope that, where we are now is, you got to find 3 to 4 starters out of that group, because center's back, Steen is back, got 3 places open, really. Obviously, both of those guys will be in competition too. It's not like anyone should be considered safe, but going off last year, you have 2 starters coming back with really 3 openings. 7, 8 guys coming in. You got to hope that 3 of those guys really stake a claim at a position, and you see this offensive line go to average now.
Yeah, and it hurts for the future for Seaton, because you had guys that started or played a lot of games that entered the transfer portal. Jayvin James was obviously one of the most recent ones, but Jimothy Lewis was another one. And I don't want to sit here and act like these were, future All-Americans. Jaquan Bolden was a guy who didn't obviously play a lot. I was kind of high on him, but never could really get over that injury. Alex Lopez also entered. But neither one of those went to bigger programs. Jimothy went to Cal, and then obviously Jayvin went to Alabama. But I don't want to sit here and act like, hey, these were major losses. They were going to be first-round pick. Like, no, but there were guys with starting experience. And Jayvin, from what we've heard, was the reason why he left was because of the pursuit of Seaton and pursuit, not just Seaton, but just guys at his position. And he was like, man, I started some games last year. I played a lot last year. Like, why am I automatically getting pushed out? And then on top of that, Blake Steen's coming back, healthy, which I think the better spot for him is to get moved inside. But still, it hurt your depth when it comes to that. Now, again, I'm not sitting here saying that these were all world players and that it's a disaster that you lost them, because I think that a lot of the guys behind them, Miles McVay was one that I'm really high on right now.
And not just because he tweets at us sometimes.
Right, and not just because he tweets at us. But he's a guy that I'm high on right now. But and then obviously like the upside of the Tyler Miller kid. Then there's also DJ Chester.
Yeah, I like him.
There's some guys that I think can kind of fill those spots. Mario Nash is another one. And they might, they got some flexibility whether they play inside or at tackle. But still, that's where it's going to hurt you, though, is you did lose some guys with some experience from last year's team.
Yeah, you lost guys that had some experience and that had played under load hold. And if it wasn't hey, you don't fit what we're trying to do here, we think it's better for you to leave, and they made the decision because of your pursuit of other guys, that kind of hurts you a little bit in terms of depth and this competition. Because if you have guys who already kind of understand the system, understand their responsibilities, have a little bit more experience in games, they have a little bit of a leg up in those position battles early and can push those other guys behind them that may have a little bit more raw talent, but don't understand the nuances of what you want a little bit more, and push them to become a better player. And even if that guy ends up being the backup who was the starter last year, that's great depth to have on the roster. So, we're kind of where we were last year. A bunch of interesting pieces that we're hoping fit together. Seaton would have been awesome, but it's what we expected.
Well, and we said it with Jimothy. He wasn't perfect, but he was young. He made his mistakes, but there was promising upside.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but coming up next, we're going to recap the basketball weekend. It was another brutal one, but we'll talk about that coming up next. What's the last call for football on FanDuel? One final Sunday, one last kickoff, the final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding with the underdog, or building one last same-game parlay, this is the game everyone's been waiting for. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season is over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you haven't already, go check out our new Everydayer Club, access to an ad-free audio feed for Locked On Mississippi State, compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app. An invite to the members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat just for listeners of this show. Landon and I are in that. We'd love to talk to you. Go to the URL that's in the show notes to learn more. All right,
we got some free time right now with all this snow. Hop in there.
We can have a lot of discussions, mainly about how bad the basketball team's been, because we got to talk about that. It was a brutal showing against Vanderbilt. They lose by 32 points, 88-56 at home. Only one player scores in double figures. Jayden Epps, he scored 14 points on 5 of 11 from the field. Josh Hubbard looked out of it from the start. Kind of looks like he just doesn't want to be there. 7 points, 2 of 10 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3, 3 turnovers on him, 17 turnovers as a team. So Saturday, I'm like, the game was at like 11, I think it was, Central Time. I was like, you know what? I told my wife, I said, hey, she wanted to watch those shows. I said, hey, I gotta watch this game, and after that, let's watch it. And so she goes, okay. So I go back into my office to watch it, and I'm sitting there watching it, and after 5-10 minutes of the game, there was probably 10-15 turnovers.
You were like, we can watch the show.
I walked in there, I turned it off. I said, the game's over. And she goes, why? I said, they're already down 20. Like, it was that quick. And it was like JV type of turnovers. Like, it was and that's got to be the frustrating part from James. We saw him get really frustrated in the game, and he even yelled at Josh Hubbard at one point because Hubbard was making some of those turnovers. But the frustrating part was he tried a lot of different players. I mean, golly, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 players played in that game. And let's see, 9 of them played at least 11 minutes, or at least 10 minutes. And so he tried a lot of different guys.
Everything.
Every one of them were making the same JV style mistakes. It was unreal to watch.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even have to look at the score to know how this game went. If you just look at the number of turnovers, Hubbard with 3, Davis Fleming with 3, Sean Jones Jr. 2, Jabari McGee 2, Jayden Epps 2. Then you have Delquan Warren played 9 minutes and had 2 turnovers. I mean, you have all of that, and you look at the field goal percentage numbers. Hubbard 2 of 10. Where's it? Epps, the leading scorer, was 5 of 11. King Grace 3 of 9. I mean, these are just like you're not winning any game like that.
No.
I mean, you pull up against, like you mentioned, a JV team and you play like that, you might not win.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't shoot or hang on to the ball, you're not going to win many games. So, I mean, it's kind of been a long time coming. We've been pushing it back, kind of putting the eulogy on this season, but this is it. Barring a run to an SEC tournament championship, this team is done.
Yeah, they're toast. And I will say this.
And the team's not good enough to do that. It would be a
No, they're not. Jayden Epps looked like the only one who belonged on the court. And the weird thing was he came off the bench, and I don't know if there was a report out there before why he came off the bench because he's your second leading scorer. They showed it before the game. You have two guys in the top 16 in the SEC in scoring. Jayden Epps is one of them. He came off the bench. He looked like the only one that belonged, and that included Josh Hubbard, who didn't look like he belonged out there. And he came off the bench, and I understand kind of staggering them a little bit because they're both guys that need the ball, and so maybe they wanted to do that. But you don't stagger them in your starting lineup. You stagger them on breaks throughout the game, and that's what you should do. I will just be honest here and listen. I love Josh Hubbard. I think Josh Hubbard is one of the best players in the SEC. I think he's one of the best players in the history of Mississippi State. I think if he comes back, he will have, probably set some records that will never be touched. But Josh Hubbard's size really hurts him and hurts the team. He's listed at 6 foot. I don't think he's 6 foot. I think he may be 5'10", honestly.
I'd say he's 5'10", 5'9".
Yeah, he doesn't look 6 foot out there. But hey, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say he's 6 foot. The issue with it is when teams pressed him and they were tall, he couldn't see over it and he was throwing the ball away, making dumb mistakes. Or I don't want to say dumb because dumb makes it sound like it was a bad decision on his part.
Yeah.
It might not even be a bad decision. He might not be able to just see over it or make a pass over it. And then he's a liability defensively because of his size, which we've known that.
Yeah.
Get away with that when he scores 30 points. But you can't get away with it when he has 7 points and he's 2 of 10 from the field. And that's kind of the thing. My philosophy is if your best player is someone that is like that, where they're not very good defensively because of their size, they're not great at making plays, it's hard to be a good team. It really is. And they were a solid team last year. That's the crazy thing. They were actually a solid team last year with him. And then they got rid of a lot of guys that needed to be out. And next thing you know, we're not seeing any progress, and I'm not really sure what it is. Landon's frozen on my screen, so I don't know if we lost him or not. But anyways, going back to Hubbard, they were a solid team last year. We felt like they were more defensive than offensive, and they needed to get more shooting. They needed to improve as an offense as a whole, and that's really what they did this offseason. That's the crazy thing is they did that. They brought in some scorers. They brought in some shooters. They brought in Jayden Epps, guys like that. And so we thought this team would be a lot better. And then in reality, they're not. And they don't look like they play like a team very often. They look discombobulated. Like I said, they make a lot of really JV type of turnovers. And that kind of stuff usually happens when you don't kind of have that momentum and that kind of feel with each other. And so you're seeing some of that. I'm not sitting here saying that guys don't like each other. I don't know. I don't know if they like each other or they don't like each other. What I do know is they don't look like a unit, and that's a major problem. As for the women, they put up a heck of a fight this weekend. They obviously defeated Kentucky. What was that, last Sunday? Then they played Alabama this Sunday. Number 23 ranked Alabama. They ended up losing 85-78 on the road. But it's a game they led going to the fourth quarter. It just came apart in the fourth. And that kind of stuff happens. Landon said his internet went out, so he's going to try to get back up and going. But anyways, they just lost it in the fourth quarter. Again, they were up going into the fourth. Lost the fourth quarter by 11, ended up losing the game by 7. But some people that played pretty well, Wade Dozie had 19 points, 7 rebounds. Francis had 16 points and 8 rebounds. Lampley off the bench had 14 points with 69 from the field and 2 for 4 from 3-point range. So I thought the women overall played pretty well. They just, they played a team that's pretty good, and it was on the road. I think they're probably pretty equal to Alabama, and ultimately Alabama just having that home crowd, kind of the momentum in the fourth quarter, got them going, and they pulled it off. I wouldn't hang your hat if I'm the women. The men definitely have to, but the women, I wouldn't be too upset with that performance. Overall, I thought they played pretty solid, and you don't, sometimes things don't go your way, and that's really what happened on this one. But all right, coming up next, we will reveal our top dog of the week. Hopefully we can get Landon back on the show. Again, he's dealing with weather stuff, so he's He's having more problems than I am, but we'll try to get him back on the show, and then we will give our top dog of the week. Don't go anywhere. Well, this is Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who show there's more to the score than what's on the screen. Some of the things that I always look for is who is that player, that fan, that play, that coach, where that specific moment kind of defines the game, defines the team. These kind of moments remind us of what it really takes to raise the bar. It's that extra work off the court, dialing in every detail, giving it that extra fire, that grit, and I never quit. And it's hard to pick from this past week after what we just saw with the women obviously losing, with the men obviously losing, and not looking competitive in those games. But I think I'm going to give that never quit moment to Phil Lodeholt. It was an uphill battle to land Jordan Seaton. They didn't end up landing him, but he didn't quit. I mean, when all signs pointed to LSU, you then heard the rumors that, hey, he's back on talking to him, back trying to get involved with the or Jordan Seaton recruitment. So I want to give that props to him, even though he ultimately didn't pull it out. But we put that same passion in every model. Highlights make the real. What it took to get there makes it count. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. All right, well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Landon, you had any other thoughts on the men's team? I know the way, but and then the women's team, all I said was, hey, it was a road game, probably evenly matched. They were leading going to the fourth, ended up losing by 7. I thought they actually played pretty well.
Yeah, I thought they did too. And, that kind of leads us into top dog of the week because one of mine is from the women's team. I mean, and I'm pretty sure I gave it to her last week. Favorite Mendoza, another great game, 19 points, 7 boards, and an assist. I mean, she's really coming along this year. Having a couple great games back to back, and they just came up a little bit short. A couple things go a different way. They win that game. I mean, they were right in it, and she's a big reason why.
we're going to dive into this a lot more on tomorrow's episode, but I do want to give it my top dog of the week is Mississippi State fans. Okay. The reason why, if y'all have not been paying attention, because we brought this up, Oklahoma has hired a new athletic director, and it's not Zach Selman. Yeah. That is a major win for you guys because, again, I understand the criticism that comes with him, and I understand that they're like, hey, football, you got to get that hire right, and you got to do that, and you got to start showing some wins. Yep. I understand all that, and Lane and I are in agreement that football is the main thing, so you got to get football going. But he did go out and hire a really good baseball coach, and we'll see what kind of season they have. They're top 5 in the country. Yeah, they're top 5 in 2 different polls, so they're a team that has a lot of expectations. Yeah. So he's done really well there, and we'll see what kind of season they have. Hopefully they have the great season, so then he can say, hey, look at that. But I just want to, that's a big win for you guys. And I don't think you realize how big of a win it is, but it's a big win. Yeah, we'll dive into it a lot more on tomorrow's episode, but I just wanted to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one. And it is a big win because he's got some momentum building with a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And so, and that, yes, the football team might not be where it's not where anyone wants it to be right now, but I think a lot of things are in motion to make all of the sports programs better as a whole. And he's a huge part of it. So, and yeah, Mississippi State fans, because again, we're one day closer to baseball. And the hype around this baseball team is building to an insane level. And I am going to be part of the reason.
I like that. But yeah, so we'll dive into that much more. That's a big for Mississippi State athletics moving forward. Also, just kind of keeping that continuity is also big. But thanks for tuning in today to Locked On Mississippi State. Like I said, tomorrow we're going to talk about that a lot more. So tune in for that. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On Mississippi State. Get all the latest episodes. Remember, on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook. So check that out. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Mississippi State ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to the custom link in the show notes to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On College Football. For Locked On Mississippi State, I'm Jaron. That's Landon. Until next time, Hail State.
Hail State.